Hi, I wanted to come on tonight to share another journal entry that I have written down, and this one is titled "The Weight We Carry or Abandon." And the quote, one of the quotes that I had saw that is similar to this topic. It says, "We can easily manage if we only take each day the burden appointed to it. But the load will be heavy for us if we carry yesterday's burden over again today and then add the burden of tomorrow before we are required to bear it." And that is by John Newton. So, this it's not really a journal entry per se, it's more like what happened the other morning trying to get out the door with my son, basically. So, many parents are familiar with that mad dash morning to get out the door. So it was one of those mornings. Trying to get my son to eat his breakfast was a battle. He didn't want to finish his breakfast. He didn't want to take a bath. He didn't want to put his clothes on. It was that kind of morning. So when it came time to actually go out of the door to be on time for school drop off, I started doing like the mom checklist in my mind. Okay, car keys check, my lunch for work, his lunch for school, backpack, and I started doing my checklist and making sure I had everything in my hand. So after I got done running through the checklist in my mind and gathering all the things in my hands were full. And I looked at him and he had nothing in his hands. And I was like, so what are you going to carry that belongs to you? And he's like, well, Mom, I don't want to carry anything. Now, typically, I probably would have rained fire down on him, considering the events of that morning. And he didn't want to really listen or participate in anything that involved getting him to school with a full belly. However, I'm learning how to reparent and figuring that out. So I didn't really give him an attitude, but I said, so you expect me to have my hands full and carry all of my stuff and all of your stuff, and you have nothing in your hands? And he said, well, yeah, I don't want to carry anything. So the revelation started kind of coming to me during this little interaction here. And so that's what kind of calmed me down too, because it was a teaching moment for me. And I did another video talking about how I think God communicates to us adults through our children. And this was one of those moments, especially considering the questions and thoughts that I had from this simple interaction. And so my first thought, and I did jot down some of my thoughts when I had gotten to work after this whole thing. And I said, well, is everything that I'm carrying right now, does it belong to me? Does everything belong to me? And whatever baggage that may look like, does it really belong to me? You know, what am I still carrying and holding on to? And then my other question was, am I carrying the things that I should carry? Am I carrying and pulling my weight for the things that God has assigned me to, or the things that are requiring me to stretch? Am I carrying on any of that weight? So it really began kind of those series of questions from this simple morning mad dash to get out the door, basically. So, yeah, it's like some of the things that I feel like we do carry on, it could be from like past trauma, and even maybe just situations and circumstances that we've experienced, and maybe we haven't quite let those things go and stay where they needed to stay. And it brought me actually to something I remember, I believe Queen Afua had said, and she said, you carry the lesson, not the experience. And I think that's so true, in reference to how we show up present. And even if you are present in your daily life, it brings that into question as well. Because it's like if you haven't really gotten through some things and worked through some things, or even tried to do that, how is it that one can really show up and be present in their daily life and really step into who they really are? So, yeah, I really started to think about that pretty heavily, actually. So, one of the it's sort of a long quote, actually, but I thought it was really really interesting and a great like play on words, for whoever wrote this. I thought it was really really clever and it really spoke to me, so I'm gonna just try to capture it and communicate it the way I took it in. And the quote says, it's titled, "That's Not My Job." So it says, this is a story about four people named Everybody, Somebody, Anybody, and Nobody. There was an important job to be done, and everybody was sure that somebody would do it. Anybody could have done it, but nobody did it. Somebody got angry about that because it was everybody's job. Everybody thought that anybody could do it, but nobody realized that everybody wouldn't do it. It ended up that everybody blamed somebody when nobody did what anybody could have done. And the person that was listed under this quote, name is Selena. So if you wrote that, thank you very much for that. I thought that was really, really clever. But yeah, it's so true. And it really spoke to like this whole little 5-minute deal with my son, because it's like sometimes we push off the things we want to get involved in, or the things that really strike us really hard. For example, maybe you're really into, or you really are passionate about feeding the homeless, or people experiencing food insecurity, or maybe you're really passionate about helping youth. But it's like right now there are so many people who are getting involved in those things, and maybe you don't know how to get involved, or maybe it's you feel like it's already being done, so there's no space for you, or something of that nature. But it's like there's always a space to help and do something. So it's like just because you think that another person might be gifted in the same way that you're gifted, and you look at them as more valuable in a sense, that's not actually correct. It's because everybody has value, and it's about appreciating your value, because what you add, that other person won't bring that same contribution in the same way. So it's about using what you have to contribute to whatever you're passionate about, and you know let that be your job, or the thing that you carry. So it's about carrying the weight that you feel God is directing you to. And it could also be maybe healing. Maybe you're in a season where you need to take some time out to just heal and process some things, or maybe building a business of some sort of capacity, or parenting, learning how to become a better parent. I'm in that boat as well. So it's just whatever it is, it's about becoming involved and integrating yourself in the thing that you want to see change, and not feeling like because maybe there's so many people doing it, or there's to maybe just not feel like you don't have space. And that even goes with this whole content creation thing. There's so anybody these days can just pick up a camera or their phone and start recording, and it's, but I mean, if you want to start a channel, do it. I had no idea that I would be starting a YouTube channel. I am such an introvert. I had no idea that this would be something I would be doing. So yeah, and there's tons of people who maybe want to talk about the same topic you want to talk about, or to, break down and discuss some of the same things you want to talk about as well. But that's okay. Everybody has their own uniqueness, and nobody is exactly like you. So don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to get involved. Don't be afraid to share what you have with people, because no two people are the same and identical. They're not. So yeah. And again, there's somebody looking for that same thing that you have. So yeah. Are you carrying your weight that you maybe were purposed for? Or are you carrying weight that you need to release and let go of? That's what I got from that interaction with my son the other morning. So yeah, the weight we carry or abandon. So yeah, I thought I would just come on and share that for tonight. And I think I'll make another video in a little bit, but thanks so much for listening.